Shalom, Israel. It's your boy Ayashala coming to you from Boots on the Ground. Today's Boots on the Ground exclusive is prison news. We're going to be covering a couple of interesting articles. We got Tory Lanez getting reportedly being stabbed up in prison, being rushed to the emergency room. And we're also going to be covering day one of the Diddy trials. Stay tuned, and everything will be coming right to you shortly.
I helped a homeowner named Kathleen realize that solar wasn't the right fit for her. Solar isn't right for everyone.
Yeah, we on Boss Talk TV. Shout out to E. The reason you see.
Man, listen, man, guys, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, man. As you already can see on my back screen, man, Tory Lanez just gets stabbed in jail. Listen, man, he's in prison. So these are the type of things that'll happen. You'll have your ups and downs while you're in prison. Take it from me. It is not an easy ride. It doesn't surprise me. It could have been worse. He could have been dead. But now we're hearing that he was stabbed in prison and that he's was taken to the hospital. TMZ reported, it says, TMZ said Tory Lanez stabbed in prison, says that this isn't how Tory Lanez wants to get out of prison, but he is. After suffering a prison yard stabbing so bad, he needs hospital treatment, TMZ has learned. Tory was in the yard in California Correctional Institution at Tehachapi Monday morning when another inmate stabbed him, according to multiple sources, including one of the law enforcement. It's unclear what the motive was for the attack, but one source tells us Tory was rushed by ambulance to a nearby civilian hospital in Bakersfield. Guys, like I said, this here is not something that it's not something that's uncommon when you're in prison doing prison time. Tory Lanez not even a big guy, I tell you, you got to be watching what you're doing, and then you got to be standing out the way. You can't be in everybody's business. This is not R&B music. This is not the entertainment field or world. Like I said, it could have been worse. He could have been dead. They saying that the stabbing is not life threatening. There's a lot of people that are rooting for Tory Lanez, rooting for him to come home, rooting for him to they was trying to get him out just here recently, but Tory Lanez, according to the guards there, are saying that he got stabbed, that they had to take him off the correctional facility to a near hospital. Like I said, this is a part of the life he chose when it comes down to you. Once you start picking up guns allegedly and all the stuff they convicted him for, you can get ready, because you rest assured you're going to have to stand down 10 toes down when you get down there, and you have to set up, and you don't trust nobody. You can't trust nobody. You got people behind you. You got people that's sleeping by you. You don't even know these people a lot of times, and all of them have been convicted of something.
Wow, that's insane, Israel. Brothers just trying to be in there, do their time, and get up out of there, and that happened. But like the brother said, that's the stuff that we go through, and that's the stuff that goes on in today's society. And the precept break down what Tory Lanez is going through, believe it or not, is in the Bible. You understand? We're going to go to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. Meaning, like, if Tory Lanez would have not been indulging in all of the extra Hollywood activity and stuff like that, maybe he wouldn't have got jammed up being around Megan Thee Stallion. You understand? But it says, blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. In order to get that crown of life for the Most High God, you have to be keeping and following the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High in order to receive that crown of life. You understand? Tory Lanez was not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, which is why he's in the predicament that he's in now. But what do I know? I'm just a preacher and a prophet for the Lord. You understand? Coming up next, Diddy, trials day one.
Are you really going to miss this?
We do this training once a year. There's 800,000 to 1 million people that'll join us.
I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. The highly anticipated trial against Sean Diddy Combs is now underway. It was a whirlwind day. A jury was seated. Opening statements were delivered, and the first two witnesses, a male escort and a former security guard, were called. More on their testimony in a moment. There are no cameras allowed in court, but our ABC News team was inside watching, listening to it all. Prosecutors didn't hold back, laying out the government's case against one of the biggest names in entertainment. They say the public knew Sean Combs as Puff Daddy or Diddy, a businessman, larger than life. But prosecutors argued there was a darker side to him, saying he used his trusted inner circle to run a criminal enterprise for decades, painting a picture of a controlling, manipulative, and violent Combs who allegedly forced victims into days-long drug-fueled sexual encounters that prosecutors called freak-offs or Wild King nights. The defense argued Combs is a complicated man, but said this is not a complicated case. His lawyer pointing to that disturbing video of Combs dragging and kicking then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, admitting it shows domestic violence, but arguing it is not evidence of sex trafficking. Sitting behind Combs today, his mother and children, all seen arriving at court, supporting Combs as he faces 5 counts, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Combs faces a potential life sentence. He has denied all of these allegations. A jury of 8 men and 4 women will decide his fate. We'll break down what we know about each of them. There is a lot to get to after a jam-packed day in court. I want to get right to Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky, who was in court for this first official day of the trial. Aaron, opening statements began today. Break down these arguments for us.
They really set the tone for the entire case. You mentioned the kind of Jekyll and Hyde portrayal by prosecutors, someone that the world came to know as Puffy or Puff or Puff Daddy or Diddy or Love, somebody who was larger than life, who was a mogul in multiple industries, and yet who had a darker side. A lot of celebrities have an entourage around them, Eva, but Sean Combs, according to federal prosecutors in their opening statement, operated as a criminal enterprise with trusted insiders whose goal was to coerce women into these drug-fueled sex performances. Some of them, prosecutors said, lasted for days and were referred to by Combs as freak-offs or Wild King nights. And the defense sought to downplay these episodes, calling them the consensual threesomes of a celebrity who led a swingers lifestyle. And though they conceded that Combs could be violent with women, even women that he loved and was in a relationship with, they said he's not charged with being violent. He's not charged with domestic violence, with assault even. They said he's charged with sex trafficking in what's depicted on the video in the Los Angeles hotel from 2016. And in other episodes, they say may show Combs being violent, but doesn't show him being a sex trafficker. And they say it wasn't part of any racketeering conspiracy as alleged.
We saw Sean Combs' family going into court today. Did he interact with them at all?
He did, right from the start. He came into court, Eva, all smiles as his eyes immediately locked on to his family seated in the second row, his sons and daughters, his mom, all there to support him. He blew them kisses in court, made gestures across his heart. But once the opening statements began, Combs was much more dispassionate. At one point, as a man who says he was paid to have sex with Cassie Ventura while Sean Combs sat on the corner masturbating, Combs pushed his chair away from the defense table. His arms went down and he crossed his legs, listening impassively to all of this. At that point, when the male escort was testifying, his daughters left the room.
The first witness, former Intercontinental Hotel security guard Israel Flores, testified about responding to that now infamous incident, speaking with Combs and his ex-girlfriend, a key witness in this case, Cassie Ventura. How did Flores describe that day?
He set the tone by immediately, as the first witness, taking jurors back to 2016. It was March 5th when Flores said he responded to a call from hotel staff of a woman in distress on the 6th floor. He goes up the elevator. He sees Sean Combs sitting in a chair with what he described as a devilish stare, and Cassie Ventura clearly shaken. And he walked the jury through hotel security footage. Some of it that the prosecutors played outright, some of it that Flores had captured on his phone, and it shows the detail of what occurred. There is Cassie. She's in blue pants and a hoodie. She's not wearing any socks. She reaches into a bag at the elevator, and as she's putting on her socks, Combs comes barreling around the corner, knocks her down from behind, stomps on her, and the episode continues from there.
And Aaron, I have to ask you, we are seeing these sketches of Diddy in court. He looks very different than how many may remember him appearing. Tell us how he looks.
Right for the staircase, like, hell no, I gotta go.
Well, he's certainly much grayer. You know, we've seen him that way over his last few court appearances, but people who may be, tuning in and seeing him for the first time here at the onset of trial, he's not allowed to color his hair in jail while he's incarcerated, so he's gone gray, both his hair and his beard. He's thinner than we saw him, certainly than when he was first arrested, much less bloated than he appeared at that September date. And he is right now impassive as prosecutors have control, describing what they say he did.
Aaron Katersky for us there. Aaron, thank you so much.
What if your smile could go from looking like this to this?
Nuvia's 24-hour process is really unique.
Let's dig in deeper on who is in this 12-person jury that could decide the fate of Sean Combs, as well as the legal teams involved in this high-profile case. Here to break it all down for us is ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer, who's worked as a defense attorney here in New York City. You've also closely been following this case. You were in the courtroom today. Let's talk about this jury. 8 men, 4 women. What do we know about them?
So yeah, we actually know a lot. And as you pointed out, 8 men, and these are some of them. We know some of their jobs: massage therapists, retired telephone linemen. But aside from gender and employment, the other thing I want to focus on is age. We have a number of individuals who are over the age of 50. And the reason why I point that out is 2 things. One, it's pretty understandable. This is going to be a case that's going to last for 8 weeks. You got to think about who can take that much time off. The other aspect of that as well is when you're talking about consent, we as defense attorneys seem to see a difference between young people and their understanding of consent and older people. So this may benefit the defense to some degree. And of course, we have the women here as well, 4 of them, and 1 age 74.
Why do you think these jurors were chosen?
So sometimes when it comes to choosing a jury, it's not just choosing who it is on the jury, it's eliminating those you don't want to be on the jury. For the defense, I think they believe that these are individuals that are not just going to be unbiased, but also maybe lean towards their favor. For the government, they believe that based on the answers that these individuals gave, they're going to be able to achieve that conviction. So either side thinks they see someone favorable in this group.
Let's talk about the legal teams here. Let's start with the defense team.
Yeah, so we have some big names that you may know. Mark Agnifilo, you might have known him from the XM Defense, where he represents Keith Raniere. Tenny Garagos, the last name may be familiar there as well. Mark Garagos' daughter. Alexander Shapiro is one of the appellate attorneys. And then here are some names that you might not know, or you may. Brian Steele, a bit of a famous defense attorney in Georgia, made even more famous in his defense of Young Thug. And Xavier Donaldson, a defense attorney who is very well known within the Southern District of New York here, as well as Manhattan, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. Anna, Jason, and Linda all rounding out the team as well and supporting the defense of Sean Combs.
Okay, now we have to talk about the prosecution. This is the Southern District of New York. I mean, they have a crazy high conviction rate. What can you tell us about this team?
So I know about the Southern District of New York, both as a contributor and as a defense attorney. Yes, conviction rate about 90-95%. So we have the interim U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton. He's not actually at the defense table, obviously the prosecution table, but he is the head of the Southern District of New York. And then you have other prosecutors as well. But I want to skip down just real quick because you might recognize the name, Maureen Comey. She's actually one of the lead government prosecutors in this case, the daughter of James Comey. And this is an all-women's team here. I don't think that was an accident, but it seems very powerful when they're arguing the case, when there are so many female alleged victims in this trial.
Yeah, and let's talk about who we heard from today, a male escort, a former security guard. What does this tell you, if anything, about the prosecution's plan here?
2 things. One, they're laying the foundation for someone very important to testify. They want that video in, and they also want the individual who was allegedly forced to have sex with that male escort to be able to testify as to that event, that being Cassie. We believe, or I think it's probably easy to assume, that she'll be testifying, if not first thing tomorrow morning, then at some point in time tomorrow. Now, that could be, in essence, to kind of like a strong, powerful witness. This is, as the prosecutor says, victim number 1, but it also could just be logistics because we know that she is pregnant. Very